The International Criminal Court is a better alternative to the Jihad and all the deception. This is the location of the document of the International Criminal Court. There are countries which want to file charges against the United States at The Hague. We need to look at the document and the violations. While the ICC is not a human rights court, it has significance for the global protection of the most basic human rights. What is alarming is that the fundamental human values and freedoms are being violated all over the world. Black Lives Matter and Time Done are very concerned that possibly this will change. July 17, 1998 in Rome, there was a feeling that the community of nations had now come together to stop human rights violations. There are about 9 issues which will be addressed if we go to court. The limited value statement which arose and is on tape, police making that statement regarding human life. Time Done and Black Lives Matter needed the truth. The limited value statement was made by a police when an Indian graduate student was killed. And this really betrays the American people, because the American people did not know that they could be killed, and somebody tried to figure out how much value they are. Well, this is the address of the YouTube videos, including police live videos. The police said just write a check. A city should just write a check. It's all over the media, the press, and YouTube. But it brings me back to the crash of my sons. 2 days before I started working for the city of Delray Beach, the brake line was cut on my car, and my sons crashed and hit a tree. I went to work because my ex-husband took care of the funeral, and I've been working since I'm 16, so I have a different core values and value system. This girl, her sister was the office manager at the attorney's office who was cutting my checks. She came to work at the city and bullied me out of my job. She knows the whole case. Her sister is the office manager for the attorney, and I was getting checks while I was working. I was at the city 5 years working with Norma. I don't know what Norma knew, but Norma was training me to do liens, and she did not teach me demolitions. This is Norma. She was with the city 37 years, and it's really odd. She knew of my government experience, but she did not know I worked for the government of Jamaica and the European Union. However, my ex-husband did not go to divorce court, so he left me pretty poor. And I guess I allow people to leave me pretty poor. But back to the point of working with the city of Delray Beach. She does demolitions and her husband is a builder. Now, I was in that house about 8 years, and the person who took out the DCF on Linton Boulevard in Delray Beach, he got me that house. The 9/11 pilots were in this same library. I don't know how it's so historical that I end up right here where the 9/11 pilots were. They like to do a jihad, and a young man came into the library and told me that he's doing a jihad. I spent 3 days with the friends of the 9/11 pilots in West Delray, but I am a Gleaner and they are Tribal and Nomad, so we have cultural differences. And Gleaners, we have Cambridge University in our high school, so we like to go to court, we like to discuss things. But Tribal and Nomads, they like terrorism. John Sarbanes, however, clarified something very important. He said it was big money against 300 million Americans. So it implies that 300 million Americans are of limited value. And the big money is allowed to do their real estate development even during lockdown. So the For the People Act is so important because it would control and prevent unethical, corrupt behavior. John Sarbanes and his father, Paul Sarbanes, both former senators, are to be commended because we needed to know more about why people are of limited value, why people are going into prisons for most of their life. This is the address of all his videos about For the People Act. We should listen to him. He's better than the Kennedys because he cares about the people. I tried to discuss all this with Florida Atlantic University. Now, the 9/11 pilots, they're all brothers. And there's a picture of the Prince of Dubai and the Prince of Saudi Arabia together. And they're all joining BRICS now. So the value, which is the bottom line of the USA, is such a small value compared to the value of UAE. The UAE is a very luxurious city. Okay, this is Delray Beach demolished. They rebuild this right here. This is a cheap building compared to the buildings in Dubai. There's no reason to kill, bribe, and be unethical for these little buildings here. However, there's this building here that Trump purchased this building for $340 million from the Jehovah's Witnesses, giving the Trumps and Kushners access to $23 billion in land and buildings all over the world, as well as entry into these countries. Now, there was a cartel meeting of sheriff. I was lucky enough to see all the sheriff's cars, trailers, and tents. And I say, what is all this that's going on? And everything I've experienced. This is Norma's specialty, so she demolished the city of Boynton and then she retired, and then they spent $300 million. The building in the city of Boynton is obsolescent. It's too good for the area, so I assume the developers will be pushing to the beach. Just as Delray Beach, 37 years ago when Norma started, pushed to the beach. Here's the gold building. Here's the luxurious building. Really beautiful. However, the 300 million Americans need to know what's being spent in the United States, how it's being spent, and who is getting some of it, who is getting a cut. So this whole issue of land and buildings are of greater value than human life needs also to be looked at in court because of the activities of big money, especially in Palm Beach County. The access and entry which they are getting into Afghanistan can see the result of it. But there's still no reason for a jihad. They also got access and entry into many countries, building Jehovah's Witnesses buildings, like in Jamaica when they came to my parents' house in 1967. They accumulated so much, even in my mother's neighborhood in Jamaica, they have buildings. So these are just 2 of the 9 issues. And it still does not warrant a jihad, but certainly requires a day in court. I discussed this with FAU, the Senate, Congress, the Anthropology Department at FAU. Hal Draper states that hunter-gatherers use social control of gossip, shunning, ridicule, and ostracism. I can see that that is true. Unfortunately, the Muslims are tribal and nomad. It's unacceptable to them. And I am a family of Gleaners, and it's unacceptable to me. Unfortunately, we have to go to court.